William Shakespeare's comedy Much Ado About Nothing. Just like the title says, Much Ado About Nothing, about nothing, turns into courtship and scandal involving the young hero named Hero, a young girl, and her suitor Claudio, of course, a prince. But there's a witty war of words between Claudio's friend, Benedict, and Hero's cousin, Beatrice. Of course, those two have names. Benedict and Beatrice begin with B, and Hero just has Claudio with a C. So here we have the play set in the beautiful Italian town of Messina. And the play begins as Don Pedro's army returns after victory. Benedict, a gentleman soldier, resumes a verbal duel with Beatrice, the niece of Messina's governor, Leonardo. Count Claudio is smitten by Leonardo's daughter, Hero, and after Don Pedro woos her in disguise for Claudio, the two young lovers plan to marry in a week. And in the meantime, these two have, to do their wedding and all that good stuff. They figured that they would hatch a little plan of their own to trick Benedict and Beatrice and to fall in love as well, because love is in the air, and why not everybody get married and fall in love? And meanwhile, Don Pedro's disgruntled brother, there's always a disgruntled brother, Don John, plots to ruin Hero and halt her wedding. Well, isn't he kind of savagely mean? Claudio believes Don John's deception, and he convinces Hero that Hero has a lover, and at the wedding brutally rejects her. So there's a lot here. With Hero in hiding, she'll go in hiding, and falsely reported dead, Beatrice persuades Benedict to fight Claudio. So the tragedy is averted to, a comedy of charades and screwball comedy, and where they'll discover Don John's treachery, and they'll set out to clear Hero's name. And of course, Claudio forgiving both couples, and they're ready to get married. So let's delve into this a little bit deeper. So you're probably saying, where are we starting? Well, let's do the Italian town of Messina. And of course, we have the wealthy Leonardo. He's welcoming home soldiers and friends who are returning from a battle. And these friends include Don Pedro. He's a highly respected nobleman. And then there's the brave young soldier named Claudio, who has won much of the honor and fame in fighting. And then we have Leonardo, young daughter Hero. So they're coming to the wealthy town, coming home. And Leonardo's daughter, Hero, and her cousin Beatrice accompany Claudio. And Beatrice asks the health of another soldier, Don Pedro's army, named Benedict. And these two, Beatrice and Benedict, secretly like each other, and they have this little tit for tat, mocks and insults, and they have this little fun jousting with each other, which really means like sometimes couples, hey, they like to becker, and it's kind of a sort of it's fun when somebody's like, just like mock insults. It's really flirting, flirtatious flirting, foreplay, if you will, for some people. And so, a messenger comes to Don Pedro, and he defends Benedict as honorable and virtuous. But Leonardo explains that Beatrice and Benedict carry on this merry little war with each other, and these are just jibes, lovebird jibes. And of course, they both confirm this, noting that they are just, happily good friends that like to dash wits with each other. So Don Pedro arrives at Leonardo's house with his two friends, Claudio and Benedict, and they're joyfully welcomed, and all is well. And also, there's an illegitimate brother. This illegitimate brother, Don John, the bastard, is going to cause some trouble. Of course, this guy already has a crappy fortune in life. He's illegitimate, and he's called the bastard brother. But like, as we know in Game of Thrones, Jon Snow, the bastard, he's hot and everyone loves him. So, but in this story, he just, become, not really dig in his lot in life. So Leonardo and Don Pedro have a private talk, and then we have this little thing that Benedict tells Beatrice that he's never loved another woman and will, and she responds out to rejoice. But here's Don Pedro, who goes and tells Benedict, Claudio, and Don John that Leonardo has invited them to stay with him, and everything goes well except, Hero has announced he is, this hero has fallen in love, and Benedict has fallen in love. But when Don Pedro returns to look for his friends, Benedict tells him Claudio's secret, and Don Pedro approves highly of the match. And Claudio's shy, and Leonardo is Don Pedro's close friend, and Don proposes a trick. At the costume ball that's going to be held, Don Pedro disguise himself as Claudio. And he will declare his love to Hero. He will then talk with Leonardo, her father, which should enable Claudio to win Hero without difficulty. So these three friends get ready for the ball. And it's just, they welcome them into the house. Then there's strong feelings of joy and harmony. And Beatrice and Benedict, just puns and just their attacks on each other's, and they're birds of tongues. And so Beatrice and Benedict are at a Cupid's fight, and so they will be going to this ball, and basically that's when the things will get a little hefty. And scene 2, inside his house, Leonardo is trying to tell Antonio misheard the truth. Claudio, not Don Pedro, loves Hero. That Claudio, not Don Pedro, loves Hero. Antonio has intercepted that Don Pedro will woo Hero that evening at the ball, and there's this rumor going around that his daughter's actually courted, and they need to prove it true. But Don John converses with a servant, Conrad, and Conrad asks Don John, what's going on, and he is depressed in summer, and he demands that only, that they need to tell that they heard the rumors of the upcoming marriage between Claudio and Hero. And Horatio, like Leonardo's servant, also overheard Don Pedro and Claudio making plans, but Horatio correctly understands what he heard, realizes that Don Pedro plans to court Hero in order to give her to Claudio. Don John, who hates Claudio for being so well loved and respected, tries to use the information to make trouble for Claudio. So, Conrad and Horatio are going to help each other. So there's misunderstandings, so much misunderstandings, as the characters constantly they're eavesdropping and spying upon each other, and they learn the truth, but often they misunderstand the truth. So Don John seems to have a strong motive for villainy, but he is in a lower station than Don Pedro, and he does want to place himself in a rising position in society, and he will remember that he's in a tricky position, that if they ever could be their father's heirs, they'd be excluded, part because of that. But they're going to the ball, he's eavesdropping, people are eavesdropping, and things get a little hairy. But, as in all plays, Hero is pretending to be dead, and there's the mass ball, and Hero and Beatrice discuss the idea of the perfect man. Is there a perfect man? No. Is there a perfect woman? No. But can the two meet together? Sure. And there's a conversation about, will this Beatrice ever decide on a husband? Will she ever meet someone, even though she knows she's in love with Benedict? And this conversation is something that is overheard again, and Leonardo and Antonio remind Hero about her belief that Don Pedro plans to propose to her that evening. The other partygoers enter, and they all have these masks on. Of course, there's a grand ball. Everyone has masks. Really cool and exciting. And women can't tell who you are, and men can't tell women. How the men can tell the women? I guess their dresses. Music begins, and the people are dancing and holding conversations. And here's Don Pedro, dancing with Hero, and nobody recognizes him, and they just assume that she's fallen in love. And Don John, who sees his brother Don Pedro, with Hero, and he's so sneaky, he decides to make Claudio jealous by making him think that he has decided to win and keep Hero for himself. So, Claudio, is gonna fall for what Don John says, and the real Benedict enters a few months later, and of course angry, and then Benedict learns that Don and Pedro have been true to his word, and just that when Don Pedro will tell him that, Hero's agreed to marry Claudio, they support him, and they find out that, Hero is alive, and that she's gonna marry her guy, and Claudio receives Hero's consent to love and marry her. When the two lovers are finally brought together, Claudio's gonna be overwhelmed, he's gonna be happy, and he's just very happy, and he's full of joy, and Claudio realizes his cousin, and Claudio and Hero are well matched, and then Benedict and Beatrice realize they love each other and they will be together. So it's kind of like tricks upon tricks, and just Leonardo, Antonio, Beatrice, Benedict, Hero, and all prepare for the second wedding of Claudio and Hero. And the party prepares to go to the chapel to finish ceremony, and they see that everything's great, and they find out that Hero and Claudio are happily married. And then so Benedict and Beatrice will finally realize they love each other and also will get married. So it's kind of like that.